Yo guys, welcome back, and welcome back for season 3 of the first Descendant. This is going to be a rapid fire rundown of a lot of new features in the game and important things to look out for. I'm trying to keep this quick but organized, so if you have any further questions, I'm live on Twitch daily. We'll be live when season 3 launches, so always feel free to stop by the stream, ask any questions you have. Link is in the description. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Now, we won't be getting into builds or anything like that, but I do want to bring up 2 Descendants. The first one is going to be Serena, and she is our last newest Descendant before we get Nell here with season 3, and she is overall the best Descendant in the game for just about everything. Her mobbing build is based around using Restored Relic, and it absolutely slaps. And when it comes to bosses, right now nobody comes close to her. Later on in the video I will show you exactly where you can farm her. And close behind her we're gonna have Ines, who is a top tier mobber in this game. When it comes to skill mobbing, nobody's close to her. She excels in purge, all levels of purge, and just for your trash mobbing clearing, there is nobody in the game that comes close. This build is her purge build, and then her other build is going to be to spam her 4th ability, and that's basically all you do. You will not run out of it. You just spam her 4th ability and clear any room in the game. So when it comes to 2 Descendants that you want to be looking out for, if you're just getting back into the game from before these 2 came out, it's going to be Ines and Serena. So the first thing I want to go over is the weapon cores, and we can cover the component cores at the same time. The weapon cores are probably one of the strongest additions that we have received in the game. They have made weapons through the roof at this point. And as you can see, they are on the top stats here. Just like on our Malevolent, we have 5 core slots. And each weapon has 5 core slots. All they do vary. There's different core slot types. We'll go over that quickly. Then for the components, the same thing here. Mostly here, though, you're just going max HP with all your cores. And then there's a defensive slot where you can do defense or some type of resistance. So if we are over here in Albion, this is where going to be most of your core, your weapon substat changes are, and then your reactor changes that we'll also get into. But we're going to start with the cores. And you're going to come over to this device here, and this is where you're going to do your weapon cores. And as you can see, this has a free augmentation, which means you can use any type of weapon core you want, and then a lot of them are set to like firepower, attribute, tactical, where you're going to get fire rate, which has become one of the best things in the game to roll fire rate. Then in this other menu, you're going to get your external component cores, like I said, and this is where you're just going to be rolling pretty much max HP on everything. And then in the third menu is going to be your craft and convert cores, and this is where you'll be able to craft up your lower tier cores, because they go 1 through 10 to rank 10. I wouldn't suggest really wasting lower tiers if you don't have to. Just keep saving up, building up towards rank 10s, and it's going to be the same thing here with the component ones. And then for your core conversion, you're going to be able to convert different types of like attribute augmentations into your firepower augmentations, and then the same thing with your external component cores. Let's quickly talk about the substats here. Not much has really changed. Your weapon level transmission still is here to get your weapon to level 100, and then your weapon readjustment. Nothing really has changed here. The cost is the same, which is unfortunate. I know a lot of people are not going to like that, but on top of that, they had added extra options here, making the odds even worse. So same cost with worse odds. Good luck. That's all I have to say. Now over here was basically where we'll find our reactor workbench. There's a lot of things that have changed with reactors. You can now upgrade your reactors to level 5. It's going to take these dimension analyzers, which can be obtained in many different areas of the game. You simply craft them with the research lady over there. Not too hard to get at this point. You pretty much get all these mats just from playing. The quantum incubators can come for 400%, as well as many other places. And then in here you can do implants, so you can then take this reactor here, and we still need to match our optimization condition. So if you needed to change it, you could simply move one to another slot, and you can change all 3 slots if you wanted. Then you have your reactor option enhancement, and this is going to allow you to level up your reactor stats. So if you have blue here in both of these, you can simply just level these up if you have the mats. So if you need to farm a reactor, then you can set your filters to blue, something we'll go over later, and simply bring it in over here and level this up. It makes it a lot easier to get reactors. And then they have the same thing for external components. I'm sorry they don't have anything on me to show, but it's the same basis. So if you're looking for external components, you can set your filter to blue options and then come over here and level it up. So quickly, let's go over where do we get these cores. The easiest spot for most players returning and newer players is going to be simply from running your 400% dungeons. They do not give you the highest tier cores. This is also not the most efficient, but you will passively just earn cores by running this. The second way, which is going to be slightly more efficient, but not the most efficient, is going to be Sigma Sector. This will earn you a little bit higher tier cores than you would have gotten in the 400%. We will go over Sigma Sector later in the video. This is going to be a great farm for anyone coming back to the game. You could pretty much do anything in here. We will be covering that. And then your third option is going to be Void Erosion Purge. This is going to be your most optimal place to farm cores. This is where cores originally came from. You're going to be getting your highest level cores in Purge 10. And if you can farm Purge 10 efficiently, it's going to be the best place to go. And if you're not confident, get yourself a decent build, public queue, and you'll be able to get through it. And then there also is Void Erosion Challenge, which does give you cores, but they are only a one-time reward. You cannot see them because I have already done them, but worth doing, but unfortunate you can only do it once and it's not farmable. Let's talk about the Fellow. So this is basically our loot pet. He goes and collects our loot. He goes and dismantles our loot as well, and we can set filters for these. I will show my filters on the screen. This is going to be for your weapons, pretty basic. The reactors and the components where it gets a little more complicated. Most of the time when I'm playing, unless I'm trying to target farm something, this is what I'm running. So I'm just running looking for all gold stats. But if I'm trying to specifically say, okay, well, I need Colossus and we'll say I need tech, right? So I'm going to make them blue because now I can bring them over and actually just level them up to gold. Same thing with our external components. For example, I was farming some pieces for Nell, so I brought Max Shield to blue, I bought MP Recovery Modifier to blue, and then I brought the Deceive Scan substats to blue as well, so I can get the pieces and then go level them up so the grind isn't as bad. Now, where do you get the Fellow? Well, if you haven't played in a pretty long time, it's going to be Void Vessel, which can be found over here in Albion. This can only be queued from this console at this moment. Not sure if this is going to change with Season 3. It might, but Void Vessel is not on the map. You do have to come over here. And then we have normal Void Vessel. This is where you're going to get Keelan. This is where you're going to get the Hagio Sheepdog. And this is also a very good place for Catalyst mats as well, something we will go over. And then in hard mode, this is where you're going to get Ines, one of the best Descendants in the game. As you can see, the resource box, that is also going to be for your Catalyst mats. And this is where you get the other dog, the Vesper's Hunting Dog, which this dog is supposed to grant you ammo, but it does a horrible job at it. The other dog, it gives you health, but they're mostly here to collect our loot and get rid of our junk. So now we're going to go to one of the best farms I think anybody's going to be doing if they're coming back to the game. Unfortunately, if you've been playing the game the whole time, you've had to farm a lot of this. It wasn't always the best farm. They turned it into a really good farm, but by the time they did, a lot of the veteran players were just really tired of it. But there's a lot of loot to be had here. This is going to be where you're going to get Serena, where you're going to get your cores, where you're going to get Ancient Knight, one of the best guns in the game. You'll also be able to get ATAMs in the other version, in the Isolated Desert, and this is the faster version to run. So you'll have ATAMs here with the other two Serena pieces. Your Mutant Cell boxes, I'll explain to you what those are in just a second. And like I said, cores, and there is, of course, the normal version of this too, to start out with. Now, as far as Mutant Cells, this is what I will be talking about, and we'll be going over. This is an arcade tuning board. Every Descendant has their own arcade tuning board. You need to level this 1 to 40 with a booster. This will take you about 4 hours of the Sigma sector. We veterans like to call it the Sugma sector. And then as you are farming, you will receive these boxes, which are called spoils boxes. And in these, you are able to select a mutant cell, one of your choice per box, and these are add-ons to the Mutant, the Arche tuning extension that they added to the game. Unfortunately, one super bad thing here is that even though you unlock this with one, you do not have it on your other slot. You do need to do the same thing again, so you need to acquire the mutant cell, and these do cost a resource as well that you will get a lot of in the Sigma sector to unlock or unslot the mutant cells. Something else we will go over, which is related to that because it's great to target farm your spoils boxes, something new they added to the game, one of the best quality of life things that they did add to the game. So let's just show you real quick how to do that. And let's say I want to get the last dagger, one of the best guns in the game. I'm simply going to come here. I'm going to go to acquisition info, and then as I'm hovering over this, I will just select G for my target reward, and then eventually when my RNG fails me over and over, I will get the drop. You can't do this for everything in the game, but you can do it for a lot of things. Spoils boxes is very, very important when you're farming these because they do not drop often, and it does take a lot of fails to be able to pity one. Something else they have added a lot of to the game is going to be new component sets, and a lot of these have become meta. A lot of them will be found in Sigma sector though. Like I said, Sigma sector is a great place to be farming if you're coming back to the game. Level up your Descendant, level up your weapon, level up your arcade tuning, get your mutant cells, get a lot of these meta components. So Shell Crusher, going to be a 2-piece meta component for the fire rate. It's absolutely cracked. The Enlightened Mage set is pretty much going to be BiS for almost any non-attribute Descendant. The Plague set, great for Freyna. The Firebrand is really nice because of the duration and the range. The debuff can be utilized sometimes in the game, but not very often because there's so many other debuffs available in the game. Then you have the Ascending set. This is great for Serena, Restored Relic mobbing build because you feed yourself ammo just by dashing in the air. And then the Hunter set is going to come from Void Vessel, and it also drops in some 400% dungeons. And I just want to go over some quick little farming things. So we'll talk about Catalyst first. There's really not a great way to get Catalyst blueprints. Your best bet is going to be take the the quicker 400% dungeon of the day. And then you want to target farm the amorphous patterns that you can open up out on the map from the reactors. Just a little quicker than having to reload the Colossus over and over, especially if you can do it with a group. It's super fast. One person starts it, one person finishes it because they did spread out the spawns due to macro users. So this is going to be your best bet when trying to get Catalyst blueprints. And just farming 400% daily, just farming the 2 that are up. If you're trying to catch up and get a lot of loot, this is going to be a great way to do that. One of the best farms in the game, and also one of the best ways to get Legos in the game. Now, when it comes to gold, there's 3 very good options here. It's going to be your invasions that you can do every day. Sadly, I cannot show you them, but it's basically the 400%, and then when you click, it's going to be the invasion. You'll be able to do 2 of those today. If you have a booster, pop your booster at that moment. And then another great farm is going to be Spec Ops in hard mode. You want to do the Kuiper Mine Blockade. This is one of the best gold farms in the game, and this is also going to give you the Legos to re-roll your weapon substats at a pretty decent rate. Past that, the third way is going to be Void Erosion Purge, especially with a booster on. This gives a lot of gold, so if you can farm this efficiently, you're getting your cores and you're getting your gold. Now, as far as weapons, there's a lot of really good weapons in the game. Of course, some stand out more than others. I will put in the side of the screen a link to a video that I've done just about a month ago. It's a meta weapons video. You can also check most of my Descendant videos because they're going to come with meta weapon gun builds with them. Just quick shooting here, Malevolent, something you unfortunately will not be able to get because it is from the battle pass from season 2, but one of the best mobbing guns in the game if you do have it. The Last Dagger, still a top tier gun here. Great for Purge, especially against the final boss. Restored Relic's going to be great for Serena and a lot of other situations in the game. Past that, Wave of Light is very good. Having a Smithereens, having a Perforator, your Peacemaker, which is now a decent DPS option as well. Maybe not meta, but still a decent DPS option, but a stat stick. And then your Secret Garden as well, which is also going to be one of the best stat sticks in the game. Naz is a great debuff and a hard-hitting hand cannon right now. For Greg's Reverse Fate, Just insane fire rate on this gun, does very, very good damage. Kingsguard Lance received the buff, and that is also a great mob clearing weapon, especially when you pair it with Sharon and Void Erosion Purge 10. Divine Punishment is probably something people are sleeping on right now. Ancient Knight is a great gun with Serena due to multi-hit, and ATAMS is a insane sniper that was added to the game. Also great with Serena, but great with most Descendants as well. And another sniper that has come up recently, but we haven't really seen a reason to be using it at the moment. It's a very niche sniper as well in certain situations, is going to be Piercing Light. Like I said, check out the video. I have a lot of the builds in there, and just look forward to those builds coming up with updates. Now, last thing I want to go over is some options you want to be looking out for, some settings. The first and probably most important is going to be under gameplay, and it's going to be show explosion effect during combat, and you're going to hide all targets. If you do not do this, you will see a lot of explosions that you could be avoiding, especially because of restored relic and how meta that is. Then, of course, we have our jiggle physics, our dynamic motion. Always keep that the strong, baby. We got to keep the goon alive. And lastly, I do want to cover, there is a party finder in the game. Big thing here though is just that nobody's really using it. As you can see at this current moment, there's 2 people with a party finder post up, and that's pretty typical. This needs a lot of refining, but I just want to let people know that it is here, and it could be an option if you do need to find a group. So that covers everything here that I have for this video. Hopefully I was able to help you guys out, guide you in the right way for a few things. Like I said, stop by stream. I'll be live. Majority of the time you look, I will be live. We'll be grinding season 3, checking out the new map, trying out the new Colossus, all that good stuff, hanging out with the community, putting builds together. I plan on posting a lot of YouTube videos with builds. So hope you can see you guys there. And that covers everything. Thanks, guys. Peace.